Hey, Steve Magnante here at High Octane Classics in Auburn, Massachusetts with a 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 302. Now, it's a tribute. With that said, it's a well-done tribute. This is the final year for this styling cycle and the final year for the Boss 302. 1971, the Mustang would grow by about 10%, and the Boss 351 would replace the Boss 302 as the top small block engine offering. This one's been gussied up and done very properly with the 15x7 Magnum 500 chrome wheels front and rear, which were absolutely an option on the Boss 302 and Boss 429, where they were standard. On the Boss 302, you get a steel wheel with a trim ring and a center cap, but these are optional 15x7 Magnum 500s on this Boss 302 Tribute. Another thing we see on this is an optional shaker hood, which arrived in 1969, or 70, excuse me, and here it is right here, loud and proud. Sits atop the 4-barrel carburetor to help cold air be accessed for the engine from outside. The air under the hood is usually 30 degrees warmer than the air outside of the hood, so this actually is a cooler, denser charge to help that Boss 302 make full power without being hobbled with a hot air intake. Let's take a look at that Boss 302 engine. Beneath the shaker hood, one of the most iconic hood scoops in muscle car history, lies the Boss 302. Let's look at that. And what is a Boss 302? Well, the Ford 302 lived on and continued to live on for many, many years as the Ford Windsor, which was basically a pretty uninspired little engine for station wagons, and basically the 302, perky little engine. Well, the Boss 302 shares only its displacement with the smaller Windsor 302. What the Boss 302 is, it's basically a set of canted valve cylinder heads, which are sort of like a big block Chevy. In other words, not a Chevy, but same idea. By canting the valve slightly away from the center of the cylinder bore, you get away from shrouding the valve flow, the airflow, against the cylinder wall. So canted valves is what the Boss 302 and the Boss 351 and the Ford 351 Cleveland heads. So these are Cleveland heads on a 302. Great combination. These will go up to almost 7,000 RPMs with an aftermarket cam. They're very capable. And in SCCA Trans Am racing, the 302 was a killer against the 302 Z28s. Mark Donohue, that whole thing that played out. George Fulmer, the Trans Am wars were based on cars just like this. Now, this one is not totally stock, and again, with that said, it's probably a tribute. That's okay, nothing wrong with that. The car doesn't know the difference. It does have an aftermarket Edelbrock aluminum intake. The factory item would have been aluminum, but it wouldn't say Edelbrock Torker. That's okay. Aluminum is better than cast iron on a standard 302. The valve covers are correct. The rocker covers, I should say, they're correct stuff for 1970 Boss 302. 1969, they would have been chrome. And again, the Boss 302 was only available for 2 years, 69 and 70, two small model years. 71, the Boss 351 arrives, whole different creature, similar in many ways. But anyway, this one's basically stock. I do see some tube steel headers, nothing wrong with that. Power steering, it's a good thing. And power disc brakes up front, big drums in the back, 10-inch drums in the back. And pretty cool. Got an aluminum billet water pump. There you go, a pulley. And also a crank pulley on this one here. So they're not going to throw those at high RPMs. So great, nice presentation under the hood on this one here. Okay, let's look inside and see what kind of a transmission is riding behind that Boss 302. I gotta say, I like what I'm seeing here. Between the seats is a 4-speed transmission shift handle right there. And again, the Boss 302 could not be had with an automatic, nor could the Boss 429 or the Boss 351 in 1971. So the 4-speed was the rule. T&C top loader 4-speed chuff transmission, nothing wrong with that. It's totally up to the job behind a 302, even a Boss 302. Good to see the sport steering wheel with the wood rim and the ring blow on that one there. You squeeze the ring and the horn ignites or goes off. Chrysler had a similar deal when you ordered that option. Philco AM radio, there it is, very cool. No air conditioning. Keep in mind, Boss 302s and Boss 359s could not be had with air conditioning, so you had to roll the window down and enjoy the breeze as you're motored down the road. Now, inside the trunk of this and on the trunk of this is something also worthy of discussion. Let's go around to the trunk of the car, and we see that the car, in addition to the shaker hood, this has the slats and spoiler at the back. The slats, these things right here, these are aluminum, and they're hinged right here. You take these and you separate them like that, and this thing lifts up so you can clean the rear window. The beauty of these things, if you ever ride in the back of a Mustang sports roof or fastback, on a sunny day, you'll get a heck of a suntan on the back of your neck. So this prevents people from, complaining too much to the driver. that they're getting burnt. So this does a good job of it. It's not for aerodynamics. It's strictly for style and also to keep people in the back from getting roasted by that big piece of glass. Also here in the trunk, it's optional, the trunk spoiler, not standard fare on the Boss 302. You paid extra for the trunk spoiler. And the blacked out tail treatment right here. We see this also on the Boss 302. And then let's look inside that trunk. And here's the thing, this trunk spoiler is made out of plastic, fiberglass. So in many results, or in many cases, what will happen is on a standard Mustang trunk, what you get is a trunk that it stays up by itself. Well, when the weight of the spoiler is added to that, it won't stay up. So what is found on the Boss 302 and any Mustang with a trunk spoiler is a little prop rod. This thing right here looks like the front of a Fox Mustang for the hood, but this is actually factory stuff baked into this car for keeping the trunk in an upright position. So this thing right here keeps your fingers from getting slammed shut, but again, a very specific detail. And again, these spoilers do exert some degree of downforce. I think Car Life magazine back around 1972 did a test of all the muscle cars and how much the aerodynamic advantages worked. And then these things apparently will, at about 170 miles an hour, will exert about 70 pounds of downforce, which you're not going to really use on the highway if you want to stay out of jail. But anyway, here it is right here in full effect. Slats and spoilers and shaker, the big 3 S's on a Boss 302 Mustang. And of all the Mustang body styles, my favorite is the sports roof or fastback. And again, 1970 was the final year. 1971, Mustang grew about 20%, got a more of a flat roof on the back. It was not as graceful as this. So with that said, it's one of the best examples right here of the first generation Mustang seen, well, 68, 69, 70. And in 71, they got bigger and bolder. But anyway, with this one here, we see the original 3M patented side strip reflectors right here, the graphics. If you come up on one of these things at a traffic light with your headlights on at night, this thing glows white, silver. So it's actually a safety detail right there. So here we have it, a nicely restored or built tribute to a Boss 302 Mustang from 1970. The car doesn't know the difference, and you won't either when you drive it. Check out the pictures in the photo gallery on the High Octane Classics website.